ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وبعد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Inshallah, today we'll continue our class on the Tafsir of Surah Nuh alayhi salatu wassalam. The day before yesterday, we stopped on the verse where He, the Most High, said, فَقُلْتُ اسْتَكْفِرُوا رَبَّكُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ غَفَّارًا. Nuh said to his people, saying, and I said to them, ask forgiveness of your Lord. Indeed, your Lord is oft forgiven, most merciful. If you do so, يُرْسِلِ السَّمَاءَ عَلَيْكُمْ مِدْرَارًا وَيُمْدِدْكُمْ بِأَمْوَالٍ وَبَنِينَ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ جَنَّاتٍ وَيَجْعَلْ لَكُمْ أَنْهَارًا. That if you ask forgiveness of Allah the Almighty, then doing that will be the means of provision, meaning Allah the Almighty will provide you with wealth, extend in your children, send rain from the cloud, from the sky, provide you with gardens and rivers. And this indicates that istighfar is a means of relief. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who ask forgiveness of our sins from Him, Ameen, constantly, Ameen. Today we're going to move to the next verse where He, Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, is drawing the attention of His people to ponder over the creation of Allah the Almighty and to hope the mercy of Allah the Almighty, because in order for us to know Allah, we have to ponder over His creation. So Nuh said to his people, مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ وَقَارًا أي مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَخَافُونَ لِلَّهِ عَظَمًا. What is the matter with you that you are not afraid of the majesty of Allah the Almighty? Like, what's the matter with you that you are not afraid of His ability to punish you? What's the matter with you that you are not afraid of His punishment? Sa'id ibn Jubair said, the meaning of this ayah is مَا لَكُمْ لَا تَرْجُونَ لِلَّهِ ثَوَابًا وَلَا تَخَافُونَ لَهُ عِقَابًا. What's the matter with you that you do not hope the reward of Allah the Almighty by doing good deeds? And what's the matter with you that you do not fear the punishment of Allah the Almighty by abstaining from evil deeds? Then He, Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam, said to his people, وَقَدْ خَلَقَكُمْ أَطْوَارًا. Well, it is Allah the Almighty, the one who created you in stages. Our noble scholar Imaam al-Qurtubi said, جَعَلَ لَكُمْ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ آيَةً, meaning Allah the Almighty has made you, meaning your creation, to be a sign for you to know Allah the Almighty, if only that you ponder over your creation. He said, جَعَلَ لَكُمْ فِي أَنفُسِكُمْ آيَةً تَدُلُّ عَلَى تَوْحِيدِهِ, meaning He, the Most High, has made your creation to be a sign that indicate His oneness. Qala ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Abbas said, Atwaran, meaning He created you from nutfa, from a drop of semen, then to a clot of blood, then to a morsel of flesh. So it is very important for us to ponder over our creation in order to know Allah the Almighty. Because He, the Most High, did not mention the origin of the creation of man and the stages of His creation just to be mentioning it. Rather, He mentioned them for a reason. The term sperm drop and a clot of blood and also morsel of flesh and clay is mentioned in various verses of the Quran, just so that we can ponder over them. Just take a look at the sperm drop from which you are created. It is a drop of fluid. If it sits outside for few minutes, it's going to go bad and die. It is from this that Allah the Almighty created you. But look at how He, the Most High, the Almighty, extracted this sperm from, like He, the Most High, said, يَخْرُجُ بَيْنِ الصُّلْبِ وَالتَّرَائِبِ. He extracted this sperm between the ribs and the backbone. Alright? And then He caused it to meet with the egg in its safe lodging, and that is the womb, protected against anything that is harmful to it. Then He, the Most High, created from that sperm a clot of blood, and then created from that clot of blood a morsel of flesh. and then sculpt from that morsel of flesh. He, the Most High, created within the flesh the nervous system that transmits signals between different parts of the body, the digestive system that converts food to energy to feed the entire body, and the respiratory system that is responsible for taking in oxygen and expelling carbon dioxide. And think about how He, the Most High, shaped and sculpted and carved the flesh to a perfect human being. He carved the ears, He sculpted the eye, and He carved the nose, the tongue, the jaws. He stretched the arms and the legs and spread them. He carved the fingers of the hands and the toes of the feet in the most beautiful and the most perfect manner. Just look at how He, the Most High, created our palm. Look at how our fingers differ in its length, right? It differs in its length. You see the pinky, the ring, the middle, the index, and the thumb. They differ in their length. However, when you cave them, they even out. When you cave them like this, you see that they even out in order to give you a firm grip. This is from the wisdom of Allah, the Almighty. And He, the Most High, placed the thumb in a different position just so that when we fold our hands, we can use the thumb to hold it in order to have a firm fist, to be a weapon of defense for us. It is Allah the Almighty who created them in this perfect manner. And look at how He, the Most High, stabilized the tip of our fingers with the fingernails. He made it firm, just so that we'll be able to pick stuff with it, make it easy for us to pick stuff with it. And also, we use our fingernails to scratch the itchy spot of our body. Like all this came from a drop of semen. And look at the wisdom of Allah the Almighty and the way He created this palm. When we spread it, it's a platform to place stuff on it. When we fold it, it becomes a grapple for us to grab something with it. When we mold it like this, it becomes like a bowl or a cup to fish and grab something with it. And when we put it in a fist, it becomes a weapon for us to defend ourselves with. He, the Most High, is the one who carved the fingers of the hands and the toes of the feet. He placed everything in a perfect order. The organs differed in their shapes and sizes based on the differing of their functions. For example, the 4 teeth, He, the Most High, made them sharp because we use them to bite. And He made the molar teeth crunchy because we use it for chewing and grinding. And look at the human skeleton and how He, the Most High, arranged some of them, and He made some of them thick and some of them thin. And some are long and some are short, some are straight and some are curved, based on the functions that they played in our body, or they play in our bodies. All this indicate on the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. And look at how He connected between these bones from the head to the neck, to the ribs, the spinal cord, to the hips, then the legs and feet with joints in a perfect order. I mean, just sit down and start thinking about all this. All this came from a drop of semen. All this amazing skeleton that we see in our bodies with all these joints came from this sperm drop. That's why He, the Most High, is calling us to ponder over this. Then think about the scalp, the human head, and its structure and the number of bones of all kinds that are in the head. Think about the wisdom behind the head being on the top of the body, and the functions that Allah the Almighty placed in this part of our body. The head is the most important part of a human being, If you have no head, you are not considered a human being anymore. We can do without hands, we can do without legs, we can do without, but you cannot do without the head. This is why the head is the leader. And He, the Most High, out of His wisdom, He placed all the senses, or almost all the senses, in our head. The sense of seeing, the sense of listening and hearing, the sense of smelling, the sense of tasting, all these are found in our head, because the head is the lead. So this is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. Then he made the sense of seeing to be the lead in order to protect the body from any harm that is coming to its direction and to discover what is coming ahead. This is part of the ways that Allah the Almighty protects us. He the Most High is the Hafiz, right? So he protected us with the means of protecting ourselves. So if you do not have eye to protect yourself, you will be vulnerable. If you don't have the ear to listen and know what is around you, you will be vulnerable. So these senses by itself are signs indicating on the protection of Allah the Almighty and His preservation of the human being. He the Most High created the eye and placed in the eyes the amazing light that allows the eyes to see what is between the heavens and the earth, penetrating through the clouds to see the wonders of the heavens and the stars and its spaciousness. Just think about the size of the eye. The eye is very small, but with this small eye, we are able to see the gigantic mountains, the universe above us. All this come from this narrow, small eye. This is the doing of Allah the Almighty, and we have to be grateful to Allah the Almighty for this, and think about it, and be grateful to Allah, and honor and respect and venerate Allah the Almighty. And think about how He created the ears and made it hollow like a shell in order to gather sounds and transmit them to the ear canal, and in order to slow down the crawling of an insect to it so as to feel it and remove it before it enters in the ear. If you look at our ear and the way Allah the Almighty created the ear, the way He carved the ear, nobody can do something like this other than Allah the Almighty. So we have to be grateful to Allah and ponder over these things in order to know the greatness of Allah the Almighty. He placed the nasal bone on the face and covered it with flesh in a best proportion, created for it 2 nostrils and placed a barrier between them. Then He placed in the nose the sense of smelling, with which you can feel all kinds of pleasant and bad smells, beneficial and harmful smells, to breathe in oxygen and to breathe out carbon dioxide. And He made the nose to be the extraction tool of the waste that come from our head. All this is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty. Though it is one nose, but it performed the action of what? 2 noses. Meaning it's one nose, but it has 2 nostrils. So if one nostril is stuffed with the waste, we use the other nostril to breathe in and to breathe out. No one can do this other than Allah the Almighty. This is why He is calling us to ponder over our creation in order to know Him. And Allah the Almighty carved the mouth in the most suitable place in our body. It has placed in the mouth many benefits and many tools, including the tool of grinding, the tool of tasting, the tool of speaking. All this is found in our mouth. Look at how He the Most High beautified our mouth with these teeth. He stabilized their root, He whitened their color, and He made them symmetrically and arranged, resembling white pearls, or arranged what? Pearls. No one does this other than the Almighty. So we have to ponder over these things in order to know Allah the Almighty. And out of His wisdom, He made the ears and the eyes apparent because they carry information from outside to inside. And He made the tongue hidden because it sends out information from inside to outside. This is something that we just have to ponder over. Our tongue is hidden because the tongue sends out information of the king, which is the heart. Whatever is in our heart, nobody knows until we phrase it and express it with our tongue. So the tongue is what expresses what is hidden. That is the reason why the tongue is what? Hidden. But the eyes and the ears, they listen to outside information and they send it to the king, which is the heart. That is why He the Most High made them what? Made them apparent. And again, all this is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty, but little do we ponder over these things in order to know Allah the Almighty. Then Allah the Almighty decorated the mouth with teeth, like we mentioned, and made them digestive tool of the mouth. He stabilized their roots, He sharpened their edges, whitened their color, arranged their rows, making them equal and symmetrically arranged, resembling arranged pearls. Then He protected these teeth with the two lips, making the two lips to be the completer of the articulations of words. Out of His wisdom, He the Most High made our lips boneless and fleshy, just so that we will be able to blow and to kiss and to suck. If these lips are made with bones, it will not be able to function right. So all this did not happen by chance. You cannot tell me that it happened by random process. No, there is a creator who put these things together. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of this deen. Ameen. Now think about how He the Most High created the throats in different shapes and forms. They differ in their narrowness and spaciousness, in their roughness and smoothness, in their thickness and thinness, in their lengthiness and shortness, being the reason why voices differ. So much so you can hardly come across two individuals with the similar voice. It's so amazing that you will know somebody for 30 years and you may not see him for 30 years, but immediately you heard his voice, you'll be able to recognize, oh, this is Fulan. This is the doing of Allah the Almighty. Nobody can do this other than Allah the Almighty. So He the Most High create our throats in this manner, making our voice differ, like the way we differ in our shape, in our form, to the point that the testimony of the blind is accepted by His ability to identify the people by their voices, just as the one with eyesight identifies people by their look and shape. And the random resemblance in people's voices is the same as the random resemblance in people's form and shape. Then He the Almighty, the Most High, beautifies the head with hair. Just think about this hair that Allah the Almighty created on us. He beautified our head with hair. He beautified our face with the eyebrow, the mustache, the beard, and made these beards to be the symbol of masculinity in men. Nobody does this but Allah the Almighty. Out of His wisdom, He beautified our eyes with eyelashes, and also, subhanallah, and the eyebrow. Subhanallah, nobody does this other than Allah the Almighty. Again, this is why He the Most High called us to ponder over our creation in order to know Him. Then He the Almighty beautified the head with hair and made it to be the clothing of the head. Then beautified the face with what is needed of hair. He beautified the face with eyebrow, making it protection for the eyes from the waist that fall off from the head to the eyes, and made it grow in a bow shape. And He beautified the eyelids with eyelashes and the face with beard, and made it a symbol of masculinity and dignity in men. Then beautified the lips with mustache, and the lower lips with, jazdat, right? Right here, we call it jazdat. All this is the doing of Allah the Almighty. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who ponder over our own creation in order to know Him. Ameen. He created the hands that are the hunting tool for men and his defense weapon, and made them long in a manner that he can reach almost all parts of his body with his hands. Just think about it. Sometimes you are even sleeping and you are itchy, and you stretch your hands to the itchy spots of your body. Like you are able to reach almost every inch of your body with your hand. Who does this other than Allah the Almighty? And this is part of the honor with which Allah the Almighty honored the son of Adam, as our scholars of Tafsir mentioned, because He the Most High said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam. Indeed, we have honored the children of Adam. Our scholars, Imam al-Qurtubi said, the honor that Allah the Almighty honored the children of Adam with is the manner in which He created us. He created us standing upright when most of the animals are walking on their forelegs or crawling on their bellies. He made us in a manner that we can eat food by grabbing it and putting it in our mouth, and not eating directly with our mouth like many of the creatures do. He made us part of the honor that we are able to cook our food the way we want it and season it the way we want it. We can eat it fried, we can eat it broiled, baked, put all kinds of season in it. But the rest of the creatures, they eat their food raw, uncooked. So all these are from the amazing things that Allah the Almighty created in our creation that we need to ponder over in order to know Allah the Almighty. But little do we ponder over these things. We ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who ponder over these things in order to know Him. Ameen. Therefore, glorified is Allah, the Lord of all that exists. It is with these fingers that we use to type and write. When we spread our fingers, like we said earlier, it becomes a surface for us to place something on it. When we fold them, they become a tool of boxing and hitting. And if we keep them between folding and spreading, they become a bowl or cup with which we fetch. And if we put them in a fist, it becomes a weapon of defense. So we ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of the Deen. Ameen. Then let us look at the wisdom of Allah the Almighty in making the lower bones of our bodies. He made them very thick because they are the foundations. If you look at our thighs, our hips going down, Allah the Almighty made them thick because they are the foundations and they carry the rest of our body, which is the head, the shoulder, the belly to the end. This is the reason why He, the Most High, made the lower bones of our bodies thick. This is not something that happened by chance. Then He made the middle bones lighter than the lower bones because they are carried by the lower bones. Then He made the neck to be the connection of the head and the body. Then He placed for the neck 7 joints resembling connected beads. These joints, which are the vertebrae that hold the neck, is what allow us to be able to turn to the right and turn to the left without having to move our entire bodies. This is from the wisdom of Allah the Almighty in our creation, but little do we ponder over these things to know Allah the Almighty. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who ponder over these things. Ameen. Then He, the Almighty, out of His wisdom and His wonders, is that He has created in the head 3 storages, connecting them together through the windows in them, meaning there's a storage in front of the head and a storage in the middle and a storage in the back, playing different roles, which is the memory. One is for memory and one is for thinking and one is for comprehension. This is how our brain functions. One of these storage of these brains is for memory, to memorize, and one is for us to think, and one is for us to comprehend and process things, informations. All this is from the doing of Allah the Almighty. It did not happen by chance. And from among the wonders in the creation of man is the hidden things that are in his bodies, like the heart, the liver, the lungs, the intestines, the spleen, the urinary bladder, the bladder, and more. All these are amazing machines in his body that are constantly working. The heart is the king of these internal organs. It is the most valuable one of all. This is the reason why it is in the middle of the body. It is the pivot of life. It is the source of the spirit, the fountain of desire, comprehension, knowledge, courage, kindness, patience, tolerance, love, will, pleasure, anger, and more. The rest of the organs are but armies of the heart. When the eye sees something, it passes the information to the heart, and the tongue is the interpreter of the heart that conveys the message of the heart. And all this did not happen by chance, rather it is the doing of the Most High. This is the reason why when you read the Quran, you will see that Allah the Almighty connect between these senses most of the time. He will say, Inna sam'a wal basara wal fu'ada kullu ulaika kana anhu mas'ula. You say, indeed, the hearing, the seeing, and also the heart, all of these things will be brought to an account. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us amongst those who ponder over these things. Ameen. Allah the Almighty has created for us these amazing things just so that we will ponder over them and know them. So Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam called his people to ponder over these things by saying, Alam taraw kayfa khalaqallahu sab'a samawatin tibaqa. So after saying that Allah the Almighty has created you in stages, now he's calling them to ponder over the creation of the heavens. He said, do you not see how Allah the Almighty created the seven heavens one above another? And these are what we call the intellectual proofs, because there are three proofs of knowing Allah the Almighty. The first is the natural disposition, because each and every one of us know Allah the Almighty by nature. He the Most High said, فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. This is the natural disposition upon which Allah the Almighty created the human being. And the second way of knowing Allah the Almighty are the textual proofs. And these are the books that Allah the Almighty gave the messengers to bring to us. And the third way of knowing Allah the Almighty are the intellectual proofs, which is to use our intellect to ponder over the creation of Allah the Almighty in order to know Allah. So this is what Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam is using for his people. After calling them to ponder over their own creation, now he is calling them to ponder over the creation of the heavens and the earth, which is much greater than the creation of human being. This is the reason why he, the Most High, said, أَأَنْتُمْ أَشَدُّ خَلْقًا أَمِ السَّمَاء بَنَاهَا. Is your creation more difficult, or the creation of the heavens, which he, the Most High, built? And likewise, he, the Most High, said, لخلق السماوات والأرض أكبر من خلق الناس ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. Said, indeed, the creation of the heavens and the earth is greater than the creation of man, but most people do not know. And we have expounded on this in our previous tafsir, which is the tafsir of Surah Mulk. So the point that I'm trying to make here is Noah is calling them once again to ponder over the creation of the heavens. He said, don't you see how Allah the Almighty created the seven heavens one above another? وَجَعَلَ الْقَمَرَ فِيهِنَّ نُورًا وَجَعَلَ الشَّمْسَ سِرَاجًا. And he placed the moon in the heavens to be the light, meaning the candle of the night for us. And then he made the sun to be the shining lamp of the day. All this indicate on the wisdom of Allah the Almighty and the beauty of his creation. Could you imagine living in darkness for the rest of our lives, or living in daytime for the rest of our life? That's why he, the Most High, mentioned in Surah Qasas, saying, قُلْ أَرَأَيْتُمْ إِنْ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْكُمُ اللَّيْلَ سَرْمَدًا إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. Say to them, O Muhammad, if Allah the Almighty is to let you live in darkness till the day of judgment, man ilahun ghayrullah ya'tikum bidiyah. Who besides Allah will bring you daylight? Afala tubsirun. Don't you have eyes to see? Qul ara'aytum in ja'ala Allahu alaykum an-nahara sarmadan ila yawm al-qiyamah. Now tell me, if Allah the Almighty is to let you live in the daylight till the day of judgment, man ilahun ghayrullah ya'tikum bilaylin taskununa fi. Who besides Allah will give you the night for you to sleep and rest in it? Afala تسمعون? Don't you have ears to listen and know the truth? ومن رحمته أن جعل لكم الليل والنهار لتسكنوا فيه. And that it is from His mercy that He created for us the alternation of the day and night, just so that we can live in the daytime and work and hustle, and rest in the nighttime to get ourselves ready for the next day. All this is from the mercy of Allah the Almighty. So Noah is calling his people to think over this and ponder over this in order to be grateful to Allah and to believe in Allah. أَلَمْ تَرَوْا كَيْفَ جَعَلَ اللَّهُ خَلَقَ اللَّهُ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا وَجَعَلَ الْقَمَرَ فِيهِنَّ نُورًا وَجَعَلَ الشَّمْسَ سِرَاجًا وَاللَّهُ أَنْبَتَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ نَبَاتًا. Then Noah said to his people, it is Allah the Almighty who caused you to shoot out, meaning to grow from the earth with a growing, referring to the origin of our creation, which is Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, who is created from dust. So it is Allah the Almighty who created us from dust. ثُمَّ يُعِيدُكُمْ فِيهَا وَيُخْرِجُكُمْ إِخْرَاجًا. And Allah the Almighty is the one who will return us back to the dust, and then will bring us back out again on the day of judgment. Like our noble scholar Imaam al-Qurtubi mentioned in his book Kitab al-Tafsir, he said Allah the Almighty created the son of Adam from dust, meaning from the earth, and they walked on the back of the earth. They ate from the fruit of the earth. They drank from the rivers and the ponds and the wells of the earth. Then Allah the Almighty, the one who created them from the earth, will return them back to the earth, just so that the earth will eat from their flesh just as they ate from its fruit, and will drink from their blood just as they drink from its rivers. And then he said, the grave is the first stage from the stages of the hereafter, and the last stage from the stages of this dunya. So again, He the Most High said He is the one who created us from the earth and would return us back in the earth and will bring us out back again on the day of judgment to be held accountable for the things that we used to do in this dunya. So this is what Noah alayhi salatu wasalam is telling his people. ثُمَّ يُعِيدُكُمْ فِيهَا وَيُخْرِجُكُمْ إِخْرَاجًا وَاللَّهُ جَعَلَ لَكُمُ الْأَرْضَ بِسَاطًا لِتَسْلُكُوا مِنْهَا سُبُلًا فِجَاجًا. The Noah continued to remind his people of the bounties of Allah the Almighty on them. He said, it is Allah the Almighty who made the earth as a carpet for you, meaning we are able to build our houses, to plant our crops, and also to construct roads on the earth. He did not make the earth mountainous, meaning all over. He did not make it so hilly in a manner that we cannot survive in it, but out of His wisdom, He made the earth flat for us. So we ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those who ponder over these things in order to know Him. Ameen. Inshallah, tomorrow we will move on to the next portion of this surah, and this will be, we will finish this surah tomorrow by addressing what happened, or how did the people of Noah responded, and what was the complaint of Noah, and how Noah alayhi salatu wasalam made dua asking Allah the Almighty to destroy his people because of their persistence upon kufr. We ask Allah the Almighty to grant us understanding of this deen. Ameen. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم والتائب من الذنب كمن لا ذنب له ودعوا الله يستجب لكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.